I genuinely think the majority of the police are bad. It's, a lot of people say it's just one bad apple, it's a couple bad apples. No, the majority are bad. But the majority just sit by and let that shit happen, so you're bad as well. And I don't care. That culture of silence and not wanting to call your colleagues out makes you bad and evil too, so therefore the majority is evil. One day in 23, I sat next to a colleague and he said a range of horrendous comments, called a rape victim a slut, wished immigrants would F off back home, mocked Sarah Everard, the lady that was murdered, abducted, raped by Wayne Couzens, serving Met officer, and followed me after work. And
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. All in one blow.
I genuinely, I'll never forget, they were trialling having missing person units in our control room, and there were some Misper detectives talking about a 15-year-old Misper, and I was so close to filming it. I felt like they were gonna say something dodgy because they were laughing about a 15-year-old, and I missed it. But he was like, I wish this 15-year-old would just kill himself, so we have to stop looking for him. Mark Rowley is also being sued by Surrey Police at the moment. He's just wasted £253 million on an IT system that was called Connect. It came in when I was there, that went to shit, and it was a shitty system, and they had to scrap it. He wasted £253 million, and he did the same in Surrey Police before he came to the Met. And Surrey Police are actually suing Mark Rowley for it. If reporting police officers that are bad means we've got none, it has to fall and we have to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Because
this is what I was saying about the recruitment.
It literally has to. I keep saying Scotland Yard and the police, the Met, it needs to collapse. Like, bad officers need to be dismissed because they're bad. And if that means we've got 3 officers, then it will collapse and we'll have to rebuild. Yeah. And that's just what has to happen. It will.
What is happening, my peeps? I am super excited for today's episode. We're here with a lady called Issy Vine. She's been campaigning tirelessly over the course of this year due to some events that happened in her employment with the Metropolitan Police. She's been protesting, she's been campaigning online petitions. Right now, she's trying to have the law changed with regards to how the police disclosing their information. The list goes on. This lady is doing absolutely amazing work right now, and I'm so excited to hear everything about this. So, Izzy, very welcome to have you on. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So, Izzy, do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself and how we ended up here?
Yeah. Well, just joined the police in 2020. I was a bartender for ages, just getting drunk. And then I wanted to make a career. And I'm quite vocal. So I thought, maybe policing is probably just like a good way of, putting that into something productive. And I always found that when there were bar fights, I was sort of not drawn to it in a toxic way, but what's going on? Make sure everyone's okay sort of thing. So I thought, I'll just go into policing. And I didn't really fancy being a police officer because I didn't really, if I'm honest, I was a bit nervous and I didn't feel old enough. I was 25 and I just felt like, there's nothing more embarrassing than a really young looking officer going and telling off someone older than them. I just felt like I wasn't experienced enough. So I thought I'd do call handling, and I got the job. I was really good in all my exams, and it was fine for a couple of years, and then it just went downhill, and now I'm here just shouting about it.
What I know I'm sure there's going to be more than one thing we're going to talk about here, but what was for anyone that doesn't know, because obviously they've probably, a lot of people have probably seen your page and then but tell us about the main, event that happened that made you realise how bad and rotten the Metropolitan Police as an institution is.
Yeah, so I was a call handler for a couple of years, and then I moved into dispatching, and the actual job was all right. That was never really the problem. One day in 23, I sat next to a colleague, and he said a range of horrendous comments, called a rape victim a slut, wished immigrants would F off back home, mocked Sarah Everard, the lady that was murdered, abducted, raped by Wayne Couzens, serving Met officer, and followed me after work. And
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. All in one blow.
I genuinely,
he couldn't have ticked off more creepy and fucked up shit to do.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was some sort of and I'd only seen his face once or twice before and spoke to him in a group setting, but not to him. So I didn't even know his name or him. And I genuinely thought it was an undercover anti-corruption thing. Just to see if staff are really calling out
sting
what we're doing.
operation.
Yeah,
Kinda catch you.
that's what I joked, because the first comment I was like, right, you're obviously horrible, and then the second comment came, and then I was like, all right, okay, really weird. And then the third comment came, and I was like, no, this is just too much. And then obviously the incident after work, and I really, really genuinely thought it was a joke, but no, it wasn't. He was just a weirdo. And do you know what? In hindsight, that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was how the Met dealt with it. So I reported it the next day. Couldn't report it on the day because in policing, unless you're in it, you don't realise that the supervisors that were there on the day I didn't know, or I'd heard of things, or I knew them to be mean. So I wanted to wait till the next day until I knew there were nice people working, which is awful. Everyone should just be.
Like school.
It's like school. It is like school.
Waiting for your favourite teacher to.
So you feel safe.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to a police officer or a police staff that was nice, and I did, and then just so many failings. They forgot to tell people, and then they asked me to sit next to him the next day, even though he'd been told I'd complain. It was a shit show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just awful.
What happened when you went? So when you sat next to him the next day, what was he?
They were like, "Can you come over here and work in this department?" And I looked over and I was like, "I can't, because there's a guy over there that I've complained." And he was like, "Yeah, come and sit with him." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm not going to do that."
Did he know you had complained? That's
crazy. Isn't it?
That's fucking.
But they forgot to tell anyone that it was me, and they should have, because then they could have separated us. But so I know at that point I was like, "This place is so effed," and I just ran out, and I was like, "I'm not working with a weirdo." And it's bad enough they didn't even suspend him for what he'd said. He just carried on taking calls.
And brought you next to him the next day.
Yeah,
Fucking,
so
you can't make that shit up.
It's a joke. So, but anyway,
What was his name?
Chris Christopher Timmins, arsehole.
Is he still working for the police? Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, so he was
Probably a
dismissed.
supervisor or something.
Yeah, he was taken to Scotland Yard for gross misconduct, and it was all found proven. And the panel were 2 women, a superintendent, and another senior ranking police staff member, and then a man from HR. And they dismissed him. They said there's no space for anyone like this in the Met. And it also went through other officers and other senior male officers as well, and male staff members. They all were in agreement that this guy is problematic and creepy and strange. And there were also people who'd complained about him before, but they didn't actually formulate it into a report. So they'd known he was a weirdo. They just didn't do anything about it. So
at that point there, did you feel like your sort of faith had been restored in the Metropolitan Police as an institution?
I was really proud.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I was really proud, because especially this was very soon after Sarah Everard, but also
that was literally
it was
right
the year
after
before. And I've always been conscious that the police have had a terrible reputation. They've always been institutionally racist, homophobic, misogynistic, sexist, dating back, decades and decades and decades. I'd always known that. And that's why I also joined, because I wanted to contribute to making it better. But yeah, when he was dismissed, I was really happy and really proud. And I was like, great, they actually don't want people like this. They're not just saying, it's not just lip service like all these people do. And then 4 months later, I get dragged out of work for a 5-minute meeting to say he'd been rehired, even though it was still proven. And
so was this he just
appealed.
reapplied for a whole new job?
No,
he
appealed.
Okay.
And you can only appeal if there's new evidence, or if the sanction, they are going to argue that the sanction's too too strong. I don't know which one he tried. I'm assuming it's the sanction, because there was no new evidence. The decision maker, because it was police staff, it wasn't a police officer, it's dealt with in-house. It's not dealt with officers are police. Police officers, if they appeal, it's by the Police Appeals Tribunal, which is independent and separate. Whereas with police staff, it's internal, it's in-house. So the director of our department, which is so inappropriate, rehired him because he thought, even though it was still proven, it's too harsh to sack someone with those opinions, that you can have any opinion you want, no matter how harmful, and work in the Met.
What?
And
people go in jail for that right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is. And only if it turns into an action, then they'll act. And the Casey review, which reconfirmed how institutionally racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic the Met is, and the Vogue campaign are just too influential and just make, panel members dismiss officers and staff that aren't deserving. And I took that as, well, the officers that dismissed him first were female. So I don't know. I took that one way.
But when he was first dismissed, there was like a range of different people
The
involved.
panel were 2 women and 1 man from HR, but to get it to a misconduct hearing, it had to go through an investigation officer and a like senior officer from the DPS. They were all male, so they'd agreed that it was all bad.
Yeah.
But the actual panel that decided were majority women, and the guy who rehired him said, well, the panel members were too influenced by Vogue, and
So,
they're
yeah.
women. Yeah.
That was the point I was trying to get to. So when he was rehired, was it just one single person making that decision? So that seems like a big problem to me.
One single person, and then and it just got worse, really. So the comments that the guy, I kind of then became what they were trying to make me out to be, but I wasn't satisfied with that. I didn't think that was acceptable. You can't rehire someone who thinks rape victims are sluts, immigrants need to F off back home, laugh at murder and rape victims, and follow staff after work.
And then work for the police.
And then work for the police.
What do you mean follow staff? You didn't even really go into that properly.
So after the shift, before all the comments, he'd, like small talk. I was like, where are you from? Like, where do you live? And he was like, I get the number 3 straight from work, straight home to my door. Like, that's the journey I get every day. And I was like,
He's just got this information on you now.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, well, yeah, I live in Southwest, so I get a completely different journey home. So that was just small talk. So I always knew we didn't have the same journeys. So after work, I stayed back for about between 10 and 20 minutes to avoid seeing him at the door. And when I left, he was still out there. And I was at my bus stop, which was one side. He was at his on the other side. It was 11:30 on a Tuesday or Thursday night, I can't remember, a weekday, dead. And my bus came really quickly, and I was avoiding him. And as my bus came, he shouted over, when's your bus coming? And I was like, oh, it's here, like, bye. Jumped on the bus. And as I jumped on the bus, I heard some sort of commotion, or like some sort of male loud voice shouting, and the doors to the bus shut, and it went off. And then when someone's banging the bus down because they've missed it, that's what I heard. The bus stopped, the doors open. He came on it and like plonked himself next to me, and I was like, why are you getting on this bus? And he was like, I'm coming your way. And I was like,
oh no,
well, but you don't live in this way. And he was like, no, I'm coming your way. So I was just polite and nice, because I wasn't in the environment of my office that I could go to the toilet, or it was dead. It was dark. It was, he really creeped me out with all his comments. So I just wanted to be polite. And I was just sort of like small talk on the bus with him, and he got on my bus and my tube. And after the first stop on the tube, I ran off as the doors opened and closed, thank God. And
he proper stalked you. He sounds like a proper little psychopath.
I don't think that's anything.
What do you think he's sort of like? I know this is like, but what do you think he was trying to accomplish by doing that? Would you think he was trying to intimidate you to stop you reporting him?
No, he didn't think he was reporting. He's probably trying to draw you down, isn't it? Like,
because this happened. Was this the same day that he made those comments? Yeah.
So he doesn't know that you reported it by this. There's no report.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is what I mean. Do you think he was trying to? He was worried you was going to report him, and he was trying to.
He thought there was a connection. He was trying to come home.
Oh, he actually was trying it.
If I'm being totally honest, I think if I'd have said, "Do you want to come back to mine?" he would have.
Oh,
it was like that. Not in a way to be like flattering to myself at all. No, I felt like he was waiting, like he was never leaving, like he was waiting as if he was sort of just like, I don't know. It was just really strange. Yeah, a little bit like. Yeah.
I see that. That's what was happening. He thought you lot had the best day of your lot's lives. Like you had the worst day, and he was like.
And he was just loving it. And
he was just living in the alternate universe.
But I don't.
He must be a little bit of a.
That is psycho.
But also, I don't know why. Because the first comment, I was really shocked. So I was like, and half in my own job. So I didn't say anything. But the second comment, I was like, you're really harsh. That's out of order. A lot of people who come to this country aren't aware of our services, and it makes sense you'd ring the police.
So you did actually confront him about his comments.
This is really harsh and horrible. Like, and he was like, all right, sorry. And it was really awkward and uncomfortable. And then I'd always turned my body for the rest of the shift to be like, let's move like this distance. So I was always just like this the whole time. And then whenever he'd like butt into conversations, I'd just be like, yeah. So I was really, really obvious in the most peaceful way, because also you're working for 12 hours, and I was very conscious. I mean, the duty officer that day was an asshole. So I imagined if I'd have gone and complained to him at the time, he would have probably just made us continue working together, or taken us out and both talked to us and made it really uncomfortable. So I made it obvious that like that's not my vibe. I'm not a racist or a misogynist or any of this. And he still even wanted to follow after work or test the waters. I felt like he was consistently testing me, like, you know, with each comment it kind of escalated, like, oh, she's a slut, oh, immigrants need to go, and haha, laughing, and then it just felt like an escalation each time. But the Met, I only actually found out a couple of days ago that the Met did include that in the investigation, because it wasn't really like made obvious, and they said that there was no criminal aspect in that, nothing, there was nothing bad with the incident.
I've seen that. Like, it doesn't matter if someone stalks you up until they actually harm you or break into your property. Like, they can follow you all the way to your doorstep and it not be a problem.
The law literally waits for people to be harmed, which I think is really strange, because I've had this sort of argument with the Met over the last couple of weeks. Like, you know, collectively with the comments which amount to harassment legally confirmed by a lawyer, and the change in behaviour after work, that amounts to stalking legally, and the Met are telling me and the Met are saying, nah, we don't think so, but it's literally been confirmed by a lawyer, like it legally does. So
what strikes me as strange as well is the Met and a lot of other police forces around, constabularies around the country, they're really trying to push with the, you must have heard of non-crime hate incidents.
Yeah.
So to me, that is quite clearly like a non-crime hate incident, or multiple ones or whatever. So at the very least, they want to do, I know I'm good friends with Harry Miller, who's campaigning to, you know, so they stop with the non-crime hate incidents. But the Met is still investigating these non-crime hate incidents, and it's just like they don't want to take you seriously. They don't want to look at this as a non-crime hate incident. So it's just like,
so it's just up in the air, and
choosing what they want. Isn't
and
it?
also, which is really, really problematic, is that, you know, if any of those things that had happened, apart from the incident after work, the comments had been said in a public setting, it could have fallen under the Public Order Act or some sort of breach of that. But because it was in the boundaries of employment, like in the office, it's an employment matter. So, because I kept saying, like, is it, if I went on the street and I said, oh, rape victims are sluts and immigrants, you need to F off back home, I would get in trouble. Some sort of ASB, public order, something like that. Like, you can't just go around saying things like that. There's these, you know. And they were like, no, well, because it happened in a private space, a private, you know, land or whatever, private office, it doesn't seem to fall under the same as if you were outside. I don't know. So you can do what you want at work, not when you leave.
Ultimately, it just become like a HR incident where one person gets to decide his fate, which was when it was the appeal.
Exactly, yeah. And then, so he was rehired and he's been working there ever since, and he got all his money back that he lost out whilst he was dismissed. 6 months of pay, 6 times 2.5, 3 grand. I don't know what that is, shit maths, but and all his annual leave. I think he got like a month of annual leave back.
So he got rewarded for this.
He got rewarded. He literally got rewarded when he came back, and it was terrible. So then I escalated it, and then I was told, like, the DPS, which is the professional standards from the Met, were like, yeah, this is so weird. We don't know what's gone on, like why he's come back or what's gone on. We're going to get a deputy assistant commissioner, like 2 from the top, to look at this because it's so serious. So I was like, okay, great. And I was ping-ponged for ages, like, oh, this department's looking at it, this department's looking at your case. And then after 5 months of waiting, I chased the deputy assistant commissioner, and they were like, who are you? And I was like, the DPS have told me they passed my case to you and you're reviewing it. And on the 10th of August, 2024, you were reviewing it and I was awaiting a response. And they were like, what? No, we've never been passed anything from the DPS. So I was like, great. The DPS have just like chat shit for the last like 5 months. And it's all like covered in emails, like they've lied. And at that point I was like mentally unwell, going to work like suicidal. And then they were putting me on like live dispatching channels. And I was like, I'm literally going to jump off the roof and you're making me work. And I, like, occupational health were like, she can't be on live channels. Like, you're in charge of officer safety and public safety. And they were knowingly putting a suicidal employee on that role, which they shouldn't have been doing.
Because of this incident,
because they were dragging me. Like, they were either ignoring me for ages, then they didn't tell me if he was going to come back to my office. So they were like, yeah, well, we'll see if we can change his centre, but we don't know if he'll be with you. So I never knew if he was going to walk back into the room.
Anxious,
so I was always anxious. Then there was like, he was spreading rumours around that was like really, really spiteful and creepy. Then they were like telling me, oh yeah. And also just the mental toll of having to go into work and deal with, like, say a rape victim calls in, or does it, or I have to filter through a rape victim's call. how can I possibly like mentally function and work and help these people when I know that someone of this caliber works here and is rewarded and is able to work here? Like, I just felt like a fraud, and it was really mentally, it just took its toll. And so I had to leave because it was becoming dangerous. And also I'd started speaking out on social media, but because they have a policy where it says, you know, if
you're not allowed to speak bad about the police
exactly,
in any way,
you're not allowed to publish any information that could put your organisation in disrepute. I'd got round it because I'd said, oh, I work for emergency service. I didn't say the Met, and I didn't have any names or anything, so I got round it. But then I kept getting like gentle threats of like paperwork, like, this is our policy, and if you breach it, you will dismiss you, you'll get sacked for gross misconduct. So I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to leave because I'm either going to kill myself here or, you know, it was not looking good. And, you know, they were penalising me, like, you know, I wouldn't be able to go in because they wouldn't tell me where he was going to work. So then I would have to be off on sick pay, and then my sickness record would go bad, but all because they weren't telling me what was going on. Like, it was just really effed. And then they were like, okay, we'll move him to another centre for a year. We'll move him to another centre for indefinite. I was told by one person, and then I thought I saw him, so I got someone to check the system, and they were like, oh yeah, he's coming back in a couple of months. And I was like, no one is telling me this shit. Like, it was just terrible.
So the day when you were, because I remember they brought him back into the room and they wanted you to sit next to him. That was that after the appeal? Was it
that was
the day after?
That was the day after I reported.
The day after, yeah.
But
and then you ran out that day.
Yeah,
I was like, sitting next to him again. Or
yeah, I was like, I'm not fucking doing this. Like, are you
so
mental?
Since that day there, had you come across him or had any other contact with him or?
So I had to go off sick whilst it took about a month for the DPS or the professional standards to work out restrictions where he would be moved to another centre. But at the same time, I did argue with them, can you please suspend him because you're just moving him to another centre where there's new staff that don't know him and he might say weird things to them.
Yeah, he should be sacked.
Which he did. He went on to be known as Creepy Chris in his new centre in Hendon. So yeah, just an absolute shit show. And then I've left and I've been speaking out about it, and now I'm here, and I just think it's gross that, you know, we could all need the police and we could all be a victim of sexual assault. We could all be foreign to a country, or we could all be, you know, attacked or assaulted or murdered. And to think that someone could answer the phone and have an immediate bias and be rewarded and allowed that job just makes me feel ill. So I shout about it, and yeah, that's what I'm doing. No, I don't care what anyone says.
I think you're doing an absolutely amazing job, Izzy, and I'm backing you the whole way.
Thanks.
And I'll help you however I can.
Thanks.
So that was the main sort of catalyst, yeah. So I'm so sure there must have been other incidences maybe you've seen. Tell us.
Yeah.
Come on, tell us.
I mean,
tell
So
us.
can I just ask, so you started in 2020. When did this happen?
23 April.
Oh, 23. And when did you actually leave the job then? So you left shortly after this year?
No, I left in December 24 because I gave them a year after he was rehired. No, sorry, not a year. From March 24 to December 24, I gave them that many months, however many months that is. I was going through the grievance. I was trying to raise complaints, escalate it that this is not right. And then after all those months of like not getting anywhere, I was like, I'm leaving.
She went through all the formal channels.
Yeah, exactly.
And, tried to do
and people say like, why didn't you leave straight away? And it's like, because I went through the formal channels to escalate this to, I was writing to the commissioner as well.
I think you
I was
did
doing everything I could. Yeah. So people, you know, do argue I should have just left. Well,
have you tried writing to the mayor's office yet?
Mopax, yeah. IOP, okay, so I'll tell you the list of shit shows this is. IOPC, because I was an employee at the time, it's the Met have to deal with it. It's a conduct matter, it's an internal matter, so IOPC won't do it. Mopac have said the exact same, because I was an employee at the time, they won't intervene, and it would be inappropriate for them to intervene. The Home Office have said they won't intervene either, or comment on it, because apparently the police have to police themselves to be able to know where they're going wrong, and if the government intervened, it would undermine the police's ability to police.
Oh,
absolute
wow, like
bullshit.
the government's never intervened in police before.
Absolute bullshit. And also, I mean, that's why I always campaign and say, you know, police misconducting from police complaints needs to be independent, because police don't have to police themselves to know where they're going wrong. You can have someone else do it and then tell the police where they're going wrong. Like, it's just, but the reason why the government are saying that is because it's the exact same for them. as well.
And saving money probably, innit?
money, yeah, it'd be too much money, too much work, but also the government self-regulate too. So if you start doing that for police and NHS and public services, you're going to have to do that for the government as well. And I don't think they want anyone looking into their misconduct.
So yeah, beyond like, you know, another body managing them is crazy, because you manage yourself. You can just get away with everything. You can just do whatever you want.
It's like, oh, I want to place a complaint with you. Yeah, sure, I'll handle that. Like, what? Like, this is not normal.
I want to complain about you, but I have to complain to you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then I have to handle
I'll deal with
the
that.
complaints.
It's dumb. So I've had to escalate it, and I'm completely winging it. Like, I'm just sort of, I don't know what's going on, but I've escalated it now to the UN and to the European Rights of the European Court of Human Rights Council. That's it. Because somehow throughout all of this, IOPC, the government, the Met and the IOPC have breached several articles that I've kind of figured out legally, and I'm seeing if the UN and the European courts will do anything, but we'll see. I don't know. It's just sort of doing anything now.
One thing I know about the court system is the higher you go up, it becomes like exponentially more expensive. So has this had any sort of financial toll on you so far?
So, I mean, a couple of months before I left, I took the Met to tribunal, still in that process. I've done it all myself because I can't afford legal help. I've had a GoFundMe to help me with parts of lawyer fees, which has been amazing. And I'm so grateful to everyone that helped. But the majority I've done it myself. All the solicitors work, the paperwork, majority I've done myself. So no, it hasn't really been a massive financial burden because I've had to do it myself. But that has a massive risk because I'm doing it myself and I'm not a lawyer. But I know I'm going to win because the Met don't want it to get to it, and that says a lot. They want to end it. I can only say so much, I suppose, but they don't want it to get to a final hearing. They want to end it quickly and pricey. So
have you had any sort of obviously it's not like a settlement you're after, but have they given you any indication, look, we'd like to stop it here, and you know?
They're trying to, and I have very strict conditions. The Met want to settle. I've had strict conditions, and the conditions that I have are what I would have wanted from court and from the hearing anyway. A public apology, literally outlining where they failed in my case and how that impacts the public safety. Change in policy where people are automatically designated a welfare officer, not just given one a couple of weeks later. And no NDA. No confidentiality agreement. I've refused to sign one of those. Money I've lost, money I'm deserving of. Now I have 2 health conditions and completely traumatized, and my whole opinion of the world has completely changed from what I've seen.
Which may be a positive.
I think it's definitely, I definitely feel like I've been wearing sunglasses for a while and I've taken them off. So but I'll only accept a settlement if that's what they mean, and they are doing that. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Yeah.
So one positive which I see which might come out of this is that you've been basically trying to have the law changed since Isabelle's law, which we're going to get onto in a moment. But before we do, I want to hear some more dirt.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's just so much. I mean, I've spoke about on social media a tiny bit, but you know, there was so much shit I witnessed there.
I can imagine.
And, you know, I wasn't in frontline policing, so I was in the control room. So I can only imagine what I know of things that go on in response and police officer sort of environments. But in the control room, the bullying was insidious, particularly, it's so hard to describe, but so you have, there's sort of like a triangle, I was thinking in frontline sort of policing, you have a call handler, dispatcher, and then officers. Call comes in, call handlers take it, then they filter it down to dispatch then prioritize all the calls and then feed it to the officers, and then you get your response. None of those departments know enough about each other or how each other's roles work, which is bizarre because you're all supposed to be working together. So there's a really frosty environment between call handling and dispatching and officers, and then officers and all of them. There's a hierarchy of belittling. So when you're a call handler and you go into dispatching, dispatchers immediately hate you. And there's an environment where if you don't join people, so dispatchers are usually full of old officers or old police staff who've been there for about 20, 30 years.
Do they like hate you because you're bringing them the job to do? You know, oh, now I have to go and dispatch a police officer. So what's the reason they sort of hate you?
Just groups.
It's belittling. It's just belittling, or just a cool hand.
Just a
Like it's not that important as dispatching. It's not that hard, or just all you do is take
I'm more
calls.
important than you.
This is
sort
it.
of
Yeah,
thing.
this is the hierarchy of belittlement in policing, and police officers do it to dispatchers and call handlers.
It's just like a proper normal job. Like you just got these separate kind of groups which just taking a piss and just think everyone's a dickhead. Like,
Yeah.
And then the police officers do it to the dispatcher, and then I'm guessing like the sergeants
CID
do it to the police
CID
officer.
do it to officers. Like there's a whole hierarchy of belittling in policing. Like I mean, decent people just won't even feed into it, but the majority do because it's a power trip. Like everyone has to feel the most important.
And that's one of the worst things about the police, I think.
It's
a large
disgusting.
portion of them are there because they're on a power
They need to
trip.
feel important and
I am
feel
the police.
significant.
I have power over you.
And like so the way some of the call handlers spoke to victims, I will never forget when I heard a call handler say to a victim, right, I don't care that you're suicidal. Do you want to report a rape or your suicide? I don't care that you're suicidal. If you're that suicidal, go to a hospital. And it's just like and then you have like duty officers just sitting around, just listening to it. Or I'll never forget also another call handler. There's a lot of people who call up with mental health issues, and you know it is in the nicest way possible frustrating for the 999 line because they're not needing an emergency, but they are suffering mental health, so whatever, you just have to deal with them and you just have to be polite. But you'd have call handlers that would mute someone who's got mental health, you know, that maybe they think that, I don't know, someone's like in their house. Like there was always a lady from East London who used to think that someone had put cameras inside her, like this kind of like mental health issues, paranoid schizophrenia, and they would put them on mute and then put it really loud and have the whole room laughing out loud at the school handler. And disgusting. You'd have duty officers and sergeants and skippers and everything just sitting there, not doing anything. And I remember you sit there like, this is just gross. And I will never forget also when...
That's somebody's mother or
somebody's mother,
sister
someone's child,
or,
and someone's struggling, someone that needs help.
It's another human being.
Yeah. But I mean, internally, there was a lot of bullying. And then if you go into a department where there are a lot of bullies, then I noticed that if you call out the bullying or you don't join in, then you're kind of ostracized, which is what I felt like. And then if you go into a new department and there's lots of bullies, then you kind of have to like join it to like survive and bully other people. I'll never forget a couple of sergeants that always used to do overtime on my shifts. They were talking about a very famous tennis player. She had I think she had a stalker at the time in the news, and he was doing the most vile hand expressions of sexual things he would do to her. And it was like not even like, it was just, we were talking about this girl who was literally being stalked, and then he was holding up his fingers and winking at pictures of her on his police screen of what he would do. And then another, his friend, who they both, I don't know if they're from the same department, but they were mates. He was like, the minute I retire, I'm going to sack off my missus, get rid of her, and find something nice, young, white and tight it was like Eastern Europe or something, he said. And it's just like, oh my God, that's how you talk about women, and then everyone's laughing and it's all funny.
Talking about your missus, that's supposed to be the closest person in the world to you, and you're just...
just disgusting. But you don't get me wrong, there were some women as well that were terrible as well. I noticed a lot of the bullying came from the women, and then a lot of the foul comments sort of seemed to come from the men, but the bullying was really from sort of older police staff women. But yeah, there was endless things. And
sounds like a very unhealthy environment.
It was literally, I used to say like, what have I done in my past life to like end up here? Like it's actually a hellhole, and it's a hellhole that evil people go and they can grow and just flourish because no one says anything. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Police.
Do you think it was just that department that you're in? You reckon it's everywhere?
I think it's universal.
You've been to other places as well?
Yeah, been to other control rooms, been to police stations as well. It's all over. I'll never forget, they were trialling having missing person units in our control room, and there were some missing MISPA detectives talking about a 15-year-old MISPA, and I was so close to filming it. I felt like they were going to say something dodgy because they were laughing about a 15-year-old. So I was like trying to get my phone to record, but I was dispatching at the same time because you just need, this was after I'd already complained about Chris. So I thought, well, I'm going to need like solid proof if I'm going to complain again. Otherwise, they're just going to say I'm a nuisance. And I missed it. But he was like, I wish this 15-year-old would just kill himself. So we have to stop looking for him. And I just thought,
I'm sure they'd say that's an opinion again.
And I just, or like, you know, well, the job is so hard, so we have to laugh at it. Well, no, you don't.
The police are just so good at, you know,
wiggling
just
out
twisting
things.
shit. Yeah. I remember, it's like the lack of morals is like, it makes me sick. I remember one time, I think it was in November 2020, we was at a protest, and an old lady, she was about in her 80s or something like that. Literally, it was like TSG came by, and there was absolutely no need to do this. He just pushed this old lady down to the ground.
Disgusting.
And after, I was, you know, I was like horrified by this. This video had gone like viral all over social media, and I was speaking to a police officer that I know, and she said to me, the way they'll get around it is they saved her because they pushed her out of the way of harm. And that's what will go down. That's it. No one will get, there won't be any disciplinaries. There won't be any arrests or assault. But it's so clear in the video. This man just pushed this old lady down to the ground, and I'm just.
But I'm so surprised. Even with footage, they're still able to wiggle their way out of things. Yeah. It's horrendous.
Because the environment
they investigate
within
themselves.
Exactly,
and it's the norm. Yeah,
and every single, well, I won't say every, but there's a high portion. Just there's a lack of morals, I think.
Yeah, well,
across the board.
I said yesterday, and I completely stand by it. I genuinely think the majority of the police are bad. It's, you know, a lot of people say it's just one bad apple, it's a couple bad apples. No, the majority are bad. The majority are evil, because you might, every police officer, the majority of police officers might not be Wayne Couzens or David Carrick or, you know, etc. But the majority just sit by and let that shit happen. So you're bad as well. And I don't care. That culture of silence and not wanting to call your colleagues out makes you bad and evil too. So therefore the majority is evil, because we wouldn't have all these scandals if the culture of like just being able to challenge your colleagues or police your colleagues was normal. And I'm sorry, police officers and staff go into policing, you know, forgetting that they have to police their colleagues too. We're humans too. We're parts of
the law
part
applies
of society.
to everybody. Yeah.
And they don't. And I do understand that the complexities of it. Like, you know, you might call out your colleague and then it'll be awkward the next day, and you don't want to be, or like the misconduct process is flawed, so you don't want to have to sit with someone you complained about and then they haven't got sacked. I get that, but come on, if you're going to call yourself police and if you're going to be a police officer, have some balls.
I was literally just thinking that. Like, that's where you go in there, innit? They're supposed to be able to police, innit? So the first thing you should be able to police is the people you're around, isn't it? You can't just join this bullying group and join this madness just because you feel pressured or feel like you're going to hurt your work environment. You should at least be able to control that area. And that's kind of crazy.
And the fact that there are so many investigations and reports, and everyone knows that there is a culture of silence and not calling out your colleagues. To me, that is the most pathetic, wimpiest, weediest thing that you can ever do, is not even be able to have the balls to use your voice. No one's asking you to fight people. No one's asking you to go and move mountains. You just have to speak up. It's not that hard. And if you can't do that and you're in the police, you are pathetic. That's what I think.
Evil, like you said.
Evil and pathetic and sad. And you're not police. You're not strong. You're not cool.
Person, basically.
You're not good. You're not decent. You're embarrassing. And you're just...
I completely 1,000,000% agree with you there. It's just like I was saying, it's like a lack of morals across the board. One thing I think which possibly might be a contributing factor, which I don't know if it's still the case right now, because I haven't been looking into like stats and data within the Met, but while I was campaigning for Mayor of London, there was a massive recruitment issue with the Met. They were losing more officers than they were able to recruit at one time. I don't know if that's still the case or whatever, but I think that possibly might even be a contributing factor, because it's like, right, there's so many, you know, reports and complaints coming in. If we acted on every single one of them, and we've already got an issue with, you know, we're losing police officers, we're not going to have any police left to police the streets. Which I'm not saying is valid or, you know, I would rather have one officer police in London who is a good man.
That's what I say. I'll just do it all. Because and it is true. There is a recruitment problem. There is, you know, keeping officers is a problem. A lot of them join and then want to move because they're sick of frontline or sick of being on the streets or whatever.
Sick of the toxic culture.
Sick of the toxic culture, sick of paperwork, sick of all these things. But that's when you need senior leadership teams to step up. And that's why I was complaining about this as well. Senior leadership let police down too. The hardworking officers you see on the front line having to go to like 10 calls in like a few hours and then investigate 10 other calls at the same time and have to give in paperwork and be stretched from pillar to post and then be 5 hours after work because they're on a constant watch or whatever. It's senior leadership that have to take a step up and think, right, how can we fix this? And they don't. They spend money in stupid market campaigns where they say, yeah, we're really, really representational of London, because they'll choose 2 out of the 10 black officers and put them on the posters to make it look like they actually represent, and they don't. They misspend money, and you have to step back and ask yourself, why are police officers not staying? They're not asking themselves that. They're not staying because there's the welfare shit. You don't get support. They have to go through all these traumatic things, and call handlers and police staff. You don't have any welfare. All they do is slap a number up on the wall and say, ring that if you need. But sometimes you need your companions and people to talk. Like you don't need. I'll never forget when I called one once because I was really struggling with it all, and it was COVID time, and the therapist was just like in another world. She was like, why don't you go clubbing to cheer yourself up? I was like, first of all, love, it's COVID. Everything's shut. And I don't really want to be encouraged to go drinking as well when I'm feeling depressed. So you need people that get it. Like, I don't know if this external, just a lot of people in police would appreciate that. So many other things. Equipment's always broken. There's so many issues why police don't want to stay. And the work is a heavy load. And senior leaderships don't solve that. And I think that's, senior leaderships need to take a step up and realise why police officers are leaving. And it's funny because I feel like the police officers that are staying, I think the ones that are leaving are the good ones, and the ones that are staying are the ones that like it like this.
I can confirm that's 100% true, because I speak to police officers all the time. You mentioned like the DEI things, the diversity, equity. That
a sham, absolute sham, absolute sham,
100%. Employing someone based on DEI rather than merit is always going to be a disaster.
I mean, we need to represent our society. You shouldn't. I don't know. Is that the case, that they are literally just representing because they're ticking boxes?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I find that hard to believe because there are so many tests you have to pass. But then some quality of officers I've seen are shocking, and you think, how the hell did they get through? Well, so you should be basing it on who is good for the job. But I don't know how to get around that one. But you do need to represent your society.
I 100% agree with you. Me growing up here, I was born here and I grew up here. The police was like, well, I tell you what, there was a lot more scarier than when I was younger. They were like built majority white, male. There wasn't very many female officers, and I mean now you walk down the street, I think some of them look like they're my children,
17,
17 years old. I mean, if they had to arrest me, they'd probably need to ask my permission. I'd have to give them
I know. I don't even think there's a height limit anymore.
Yeah.
Not that you shouldn't have short officers, like not at all. But I mean, it does sort of just help if you're not tiny. Yeah. In the nicest way. I don't know.
You mentioned the tests as well. The physical sort of capability tests. You'll
quite low.
Yeah, you'll be shocked.
5.5, I think, on a bleep, is it?
5.4 on a bleep test. Yeah, which is something I could probably do backwards.
Yeah. And it's not much.
And I mean, I haven't been keeping an eye on it lately, but while I was campaigning for mayor, I'd get sent videos all the time, and one video just struck me so badly. It was 3. They were children. It was outside my friend's shop in Leighton.
Oh yeah.
He told me after he found out that there was 2 13-year-olds and 1 14-year-olds, and there was 2 male men police officers that weren't able to control. They didn't have knives. They didn't have whatever. There was nothing like that, and it was just like one of them was standing there pretending he wasn't even.
Oh my god! I think I've seen this on the radio.
And then the other one was like trying to grab her like that, and it was just like,
it's so embarrassing, isn't it?
It really is.
And do you know what? The police, and I suppose government as well, and all these institutions, reputation is key. And when you have viral videos of that, where you have these really embarrassing episodes of police just having no control and I guess police have to dominate, I suppose, well, not dominate,
it's not
but
dominate,
assert.
They have to enforce the law. That's what they're there to do, enforce the law. But you can't enforce the law if you're not able to enforce,
It's kind of hard to find, good, strong people, though, this whole toxic environment he's talking about. It comes hand in hand, with a bit. I mean, it's hard to find a very good, strong person. You always find evil, strong people. Yeah. They're always ready to dominate and ready to be this and
ready
do that.
To be.
And so out in the field, if you're trying to hire good people, it's like you're gonna get these kind of scrawny kind of people as well. Whereas it's a tough one to balance. Like you're looking for a very specific type of person.
It's a tough one to balance. But then I don't think it would be healthy to have a police force just full of big, scary, macho men. Like because at the end of the day, the police force has to be representation of society, and also there are certain calls that aren't, that people would benefit from having a female or someone a bit more. Softer. Not as intimidating, or not intimidating, but on appearance,
just softer.
Yeah, softer. Yeah. So I don't know. The diversity, equity, and inclusion, equality. Sorry, it's a tricky one to get around, but I think there are bigger fish to fry in the police than worrying about having crappy officers that are ticking boxes. I think there are. Let's get rid of like the evil criminal ones in the police first, and then look at maybe some officers that aren't capable and have only been hired.
That was literally one of my policies within my manifesto there anyway. But it's just one thing that strikes me as well. I don't know how old you are, Izzy, but I'm going to be 40 in a couple of weeks. And when I was a kid, I remember this so vividly. Kids would say, when I'm older, I want to be a police officer. It was like a job to sort of aspire to and whatever. Like, and now I don't think I've heard.
Why? Like, do you remember ever asking them why?
I have not. I don't remember.
Because I wonder what their reasons would be, because I can only imagine. I feel like there's going to be two different answers: to help people or to arrest people.
I think it was more. Yeah, no, I think it was more like it was seen as like a really almost like a prestigious job, like almost like the same level as like a lawyer or that's a really good job.
It's the opposite of the bad guy, isn't it? Like
exactly.
The guy,
you're the good
guy who's strong enough to fight the bad guy.
I want to fight the bad guys. I want to bring good to the world.
You want to be strong, but you want to be good at the same time.
But I think now it's almost filtered down to the kids. They realise actually the police ain't so good, and they're not, because I haven't heard kids say that for so long, and it's a little bit almost upsetting.
Yeah, I don't think. I think society sort of either is laughing at the police or just. Yeah, they're just laughing at the police at the moment.
We had loads of movies back in the day as well about good, cool police officers. We don't really get that no
RoboCop.
A lot of the TV shows now about like Line of Duty, like corrupt police and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I am glad they are bringing that into the narrative, because I was talking the other day with someone else, and we've always been like brainwashed and conditioned to like watch programs where the police officers are good, and that has actually been like contributed to us just automatically trusting them. But we've seen throughout decades of police shite that the badge and the uniform isn't enough to trust that this person's decent. So I'm glad that there are movies and TV shows bringing into the narrative that you can have officers that you need to be wary of or you need to be cautious of, because to be honest, that is reality.
It is reality.
They're just legally able to get away.
I've been on the bad end of that. I've had so much interaction with police over my life. I remember when I was 14 years old, and I was beaten up by 4 police officers. There's still, I actually track one of the officers still. He still works at Colindale. He's like a friend, in front of my mum. And I got convicted for doing nothing. So, there is bad eggs out there.
That makes me absolutely so furious. Wow. Well, like you've got like a lot of
in those days,
strength to not let you, like that would eat me up and I'd be raging. Like I'd want to go and hunt them down and be like, well, here's your payback.
I remember when I was I think I was like mid-20s, I actually got pulled over. I was in, I can't remember where I was or whether I got pulled over, and I got pulled over by one of the police officers. I don't know if he remembered me or whatever, but I was just like holding it.
This is why you're the mayor of London, isn't it? This makes sense.
It's definitely one of the reasons, I promise you that.
It's going straight out to Colindale Police Station.
It's definitely one of the ones.
It's just horrendous. But also, do you find like, once you've had that kind of experience where you've been on the receiving end of law enforcement that's supposed to be something that you trust and you feel safe around, when it's been the complete opposite, do you feel like that's changed your complete outlook? Like
it took me a long time. So I spent the remainder of my teenage years and probably a portion of my 20s just thinking
the worst of them.
The police are the bad guys. That's it, And then I realised, actually that was just 4 bad guys that did that to me, And every single human's different in the world, and you can't label the whole police force as bad just because those 4 police officers did that to me.
But I think there are 2 things. Then I completely agree with what you're saying, that police are made up of individuals, and individuals are all different. But I do believe systemically and the policies and the institution is rotten.
It is,
So you do have a few good people going and doing great things, but the system is truly what's rotten.
100%.
And encourages silence culture, which encourages bad behaviour.
Which allows it to just continue.
Which allows it to continue and grow, yeah.
That whole thing, man, not being able to complain to anyone outside of the actual police force, that's crazy, isn't it?
Well, you
that's like a manager being complained about, and then he just takes the complaint. Like, how can you complain about it yourself? What do you do with that? You just
close it.
away.
Yeah, it's also
And
exactly.
you don't give it someone higher because you don't pay anyone higher because you don't want your place to look bad. You don't want your department to look bad. It can't work. It can't run.
Exactly. Like it sounds ridiculous, but a new Met for London came out in 2023 to 2025 phase 1, which was Mark Rowley saying, we're going to change the culture and change this and make it better, blah, blah, blah. So in one of the packets under culture, it says we'll take a zero tolerance to discrimination among our officers and police officers, staff and police officers. Zero tolerance to me means that you don't take it. Yeah. So 2023 that came out, just the time when I experienced the colleague that I did. Now he was very, very discriminative and most of the isms, and they tolerated it. They welcomed him back. So I was like, right, well, I think that is deception to the public to say you're taking. And also, if you go on the Misconduct website or the Met Police website on their Misconduct outcomes, you have officers literally being Islamophobic, severely sexist and misogynistic, racism that's just of the most insidious nature, getting warnings or getting reflective learning. Or they'll never forget there was an officer also that squeezed the private parts of another officer from behind without her knowledge or consent or whatever, and he got reflective learning on boundaries and consent. We've got officers having to go on a course to know when no means no.
So sexual assault, you get a course for.
Yeah, and then Mark Rowley wants to prance around with this new piece of paper that says we'll take a zero tolerance to this. It's absolute lies. So then I was like, right, I'm gonna escalate this, because I feel like society, everyone just sort of sits around and just sort of takes lip service and just prods along.
Yeah.
No one does anything. So I thought, right, fuck it. I'm just going to search, how can I make a complaint about Mark Rowley? Because he's the author of it. So I was like, right, great, I'm going to do that. MOPAC do that. Fantastic. They deal with complaints about the commissioner. Fantastic. Put that all in. They look at it. I'm thinking, right, maybe they're going to take it seriously, because this is not acceptable to put one narrative out there and then do another. Nope, sorry, Izzy, as you have been a police staff member, you're going to have to complain to the Met. Right, so I'm going to have to complain to the DPS, who the assistant commissioner sits at the top of, who answers to Mark Rowley about a complaint about him. Right. It's ridiculous, and that's just the Met in a nutshell, and that's why all this shit happens, and that's why I'll just keep shouting about it. And
why we need actual concrete written changes that
we do
have to be enforced, which brings us nicely on to Isabelle's law.
Yeah.
This is... Well, I've had to read through it, and so's Donnie, and this looks amazing to me. This looks so...
hopefully. I mean...
You've had help from other inputs,
police officers, legal advisors and things like that. I mean, it's not perfect and it changes every single time. And I mean, the first one was mainly myself, and, we've had to amend it because certain things... I really was never a fan of... whilst an officer or a police staff member is under suspension for gross misconduct, being paid.
Yep, I saw that one in there.
But apparently that's breaching some sort of article of human rights, so that can't be done. So yeah, I've had to make some amendments. So basically, in a nutshell, and it doesn't have to be Isabelle's law, it's just what I've thought just to get it going. The latest amendment
was a couple of days ago, so I haven't read this newest one, but I'm assuming it was just that removed.
It's a couple of other things also in terms of media disclosures as well that would have to be agreed by this body. So in a nutshell, Isabelle's law is to create either a public body, ideally a public body called the Police National Misconduct Body, that would hold a independent register nationally with all the UK police forces of proven gross misconduct for police officers and staff, because currently all we have are individual police forces publishing their police officer gross misconduct, and that is so problematic because assessing whether something is gross misconduct or misconduct is subjective to an investigation officer or a senior ranking officer in the DPS. So one officer can, so in my case, officers in the beginning said that calling a rape victim a slut and being racist is gross misconduct. But then when it came to the appeal, that officer said, no, it's misconduct.
When it's just one person.
Well, it's just, exactly. And that's subjective. So if it's subjective, there are cases of police officers being investigated for misconduct and being found proven of misconduct who have been like severely racist or sexually assaulted people, and they've...
I mean, that's a crime. It's not misconduct. That's a criminal offence, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's been assessed as just misconduct only, and that will never be published publicly. So this will hold a register with all of those, and also to include staff, because staff are treated differently to officers. They're not held in the same regard, and it's understandable because they're not always frontline. But staff are very important: call handlers, dispatchers, forensics, and a lot of the time, you know, when you have a borough in the dispatch pod when they're deciding if police are going to go or not, usually the controller who says the last say of who goes to a police call is a police staff member. So they are very significant, and they can have detrimental effects on people's lives. So they should be held in the same regard and have their misconduct exposed too. So that would be that. It also gives, well, it's also calling for a statutory right for the public to be able to access that information.
And we should, because these are servants.
These are dealing with us. Yeah. So if I went out and I got arrested and the officer made a comment, or even if I just wanted to be safe because of, you know, the history of policing, I could have a statutory right to request the misconduct history of that officer, whether they've been found proven of anything or if they're currently being investigated. And it just brings a little bit more transparency. I feel like if you're gonna say you're a transparent police force, be fully transparent. Don't give us a little bit of it. Don't give us only gross misconduct outcomes. Give us all of them. Like it doesn't make sense to hide some. And also I think, you know, when we're calling the police, it's usually because we're in a bit of shit or in our most vulnerable moments. And I've now realised how violating is it to think that we're just being given people we don't know to come and deal with us, and we're just expected to trust that they're decent. We should be able to have some sort of control in knowing who these people are that are coming to police us. And I think this does that. It also
it's most definitely a massive step in the right direction.
I think so.
How many things get reported? Like, do you reckon?
Misconduct?
Like, but per year, like things like internally.
I wouldn't even be able to give you a number, but there's loads, and there's loads of freedom of information.
When you say loads, how much roughly is loads? Do you reckon? Maybe a year or something like that.
Check it out.
Oh yeah, that's true. Check it out. I'm gonna check it on my phone though.
Tens and tens of thousands, at least in the Met, a year of misconduct reports. But also, you've got to include misconduct and gross misconduct. So there's probably loads. But
they couldn't be reported. How would we know? Gemini wouldn't know that, or Google would.
You'll be able to check his gross misconduct, probably.
But it might. When you search it, the Met do release it through Freedom of Information reports sometimes, where people have asked for it. But it's a significant amount, and I think I don't know if it was 2024. You had like 224 officers suspended for sexual offences or something like that. Don't quote me, but. To be honest, in my mind, one is too many anyway.
100%. They shouldn't be working for the police.
Yeah.
But then also, like, you know, if you... this sounds kind of messed up. I'm going to take, like, devil's advocate kind of thing, yeah. But, like, if you keep reporting... I get what you're saying. You can't have evil police officers. That's crazy, yeah? But then there wouldn't be any police officers if there was...
So that's the problem then. If reporting police officers that are bad means we've got none... It has to fall, and we have to rebuild it. Yeah. Because
this is what I was saying about the recruitment.
It literally has to. I keep saying Scotland Yard and the police, the Met, it needs to collapse. Like, bad officers need to be dismissed because they're bad, and if that means we've got 3 officers, then it will collapse, and we'll have to rebuild. That's just what has to happen. It will. It
might ruin society first, though. When you think about it, because that is a big risky, isn't it? You've got a lot of criminals out there, and if you find out there's only 3 police officers,
we're kind of there already, aren't we?
I mean, realistically, really think about it. If all the police just disappeared and there was like a really short-handed amount of police, then criminals are going to go mad.
I don't think it'll be any different.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. The example I'm trying to give you now. If you go and call the police right now and say, right, I've just got home, my house has been burgled, you probably won't even get a police officer to come to your house.
They have changed that in policy though, but they'll say they have to because people were getting upset that they didn't. This is when I was there, and then they said it's a minimum 60-minute response time, but that's on paper, so you could be waiting like days to to get a police officer to come, and they'll come and they'll just go, oh right, that happened.
Take a report,
here's a report
crime
number.
reference number. Yeah. That's it. End of that. This is what.
Yeah.
And that happens with a lot of
vulnerable elderly people. They're waiting. But yeah, I don't think there'd be any difference if police disappeared.
Misconduct allegations from January the 1st to May the 8th, 2024 was 674. From January to May.
Is that gross misconduct?
Yeah.
Is this for Met?
Yeah. Total officer staff misconduct allegation investigations, 674. Total misconduct cases is 560 from January 1st.
Is that gross or?
Okay, that's not as many as I thought then.
The first one is misconduct allegations, and the second one is it's misconduct. It's just misconduct.
And is that in the whole of the Met, or is that a specific department?
It's in the Met. You don't think that's a lot in 3 months?
I thought it'd be more. Oh, in 3 months. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, it's from January to May.
Yeah, that's why I think it's like in the tens of thousands over a whole year.
Yeah, it must be. Well, that's a lot.
It is.
So there was what,
674.
3 months.
Nah, there's no gross. There's just misconduct.
It's probably gross then. And that's in 3 months, 600 reports. Well, 600 investigations. That is a lot. I mean, when I was going through mine, I kept having to chase my investigation officer because he said, sorry, I'm investigating so many of your colleagues. I was like, great, fab, absolutely fantastic.
So people are reporting this stuff, then it's just going kind of like
A lot of the time, well, it's not necessarily that colleagues are reporting it. Sometimes people get caught doing things. A lot of misconduct can also be like drinking on the job or like, I don't know, like footage or whatever. But yeah, I think a few are reporting it, but not enough. And if that's how many misconducts are in 3 months, I honestly could hand on heart say from the culture that I witness, if you want a realistic number, counting people who haven't reported anything or what goes on, you'd need to quadruple that with what goes on.
I mean, in a year, I would say it probably goes into
it says 1,698. So that's quite a lot.
What? 3 months?
But also, do you know what I find really problematic as well, which will definitely collapse the police, is that say you've got a misconduct investigation because one person made a comment, like say out and out, and let's say like he hates a certain type of person. But I don't understand why they don't sack the people around them that just enable it too. Because then you're still just going to have these people in the policing environment that have enabled it and might actually agree and haven't called it out. And I feel like if you're not calling it out, then you need to go as well. I don't want officers who can't stand up for what's right to get out as well.
I mean, what's it called again? Is it like joint enterprise or something? If you're there while someone's committing a crime, you're 100% equal in the eyes of the law. So say, for example, I'm standing with Donald and he just, I don't know, stabs someone and I'm with him and I just don't do anything. I don't report whatever.
Yeah,
then I will get the same sentence as he does. That's what the law
100%.
Is called joint enterprise. So I think that should apply to police
should apply to misconduct in policing as well.
Yeah. Then it'd be no police.
Exactly, but then
zero police.
How much? How bad is it then that is the case?
Exactly.
And
when did we lower our standards to think that was cool just to sit there and not say anything?
And your response, I think, should be everyone's response. Then we'd have no police officers. And then if you just deep that, oh my God, then the majority of our officers are not fit for purpose and are not appropriate, are not suitable.
Yeah, but all I probably mean is that the solution isn't necessarily just to fire them, like just to get rid of all of them, because then we're left in a worse situation. We have to figure out like that middle bit,
No, because then
not necessarily doing that, but we have to kind of transition everyone out.
No.
You can't get rid of
that's
it
what we've been doing.
Police officers.
That's what they've been doing.
Criminals doing crazy shit.
If you implement these things and those threats are there to the police, if I don't speak up, I think all of a sudden they will start. But most of them will start speaking up.
If you're found to be in the environment of where misconduct has happened and you haven't done anything, then you could face misconduct. That could push more people. I think also things like this where you're exposed. There's like a glass window to your misconduct to the public. That's very embarrassing. And that could stop people from
it could be a deterrent as well, though. That's the thing as well. It could clean up everything.
100%. It will. It's a deterrent, and it will also encourage officers to speak up. And this is like the boundary of morals, because most police officers, they're like, it's not that bad if I don't speak up, because really and truly, I'm doing this. I want to put food on the table for my family. I've got rent to pay.
There's no consequences, basically.
That's it. So they're like floating around on what's morally right and wrong, and whereas if these policies were implemented, I think that would solve a massive part of it. You know?
Definitely. You know, as members of public, we are held to such strict laws and legislation, but the police, it's all flexible and it's all subjective, and it's how an officer sees it. But we're held to these rigid laws and rigid orders and acts and whatever. But police, it's just whatever they feel like and how they twist it and how they see it. No, I'm not living in a world like that. And yeah, you can get rid of all the police, to be honest. I'm going so extreme, I don't even know if they're needed. I don't even know. And I know that's extreme and I need to do my full research, but and there's a campaign in America called Campaign Zero that's looking at alternatives to policing. But I think it intertwines, and I don't want to sound too funny, but it intertwines with possibly human nature, but capitalism. It's just anywhere where you have a hierarchy, there is going to be a power trip, or people are going to want to get to the top so they can have control. And I don't know if that's a human.
That's I don't know if that's a human. I'm not psychopaths in serial killers, and I'm talking about like actual like a mental disorder being a psychopath. They're always trying to get to the top. You find the police force is one of the biggest jobs for psychopaths. They love that.
Not bloody surprised.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I heard a police officer. He was talking to a parent who's her child was in foster care and she's gone missing, and he shouted her on the phone, and this is why my kids aren't in foster care and yours are. And I just thought,
there's lack of compassion.
And this is just like fine. Crazy. This is just like not, you know. But there are decent police officers out there. I've got to, you know, make a disclaimer in case anyone gets upset. There are decent police officers out there, but that will never stop me from calling out the majority of the problem, which is that there's people that are silent and they're bad officers.
What's the Americans' alternative to police officers? What have they got in mind? Because the way that I think about it, the thing that worries me is like we just talked about psychopaths. Yeah, there's like 3 in 100 psychopaths in the population. Like 3% of people psychopaths. So when you get rid of the police, you're giving a lot of crazy people access to just do whatever they want.
You just said policing attracts psychopaths.
That's
where they all are.
Oh, no,
that's where they all are. So let's get rid of them.
True. That's actually
if all the psychopaths.
But then you put them on the streets now.
Yeah, but what's the difference? At least they've got less control of law and order, and they've got less control over us. I'd rather be alongside a psychopath than under the control of a psychopath.
That's kind of true.
It is true. I actually have just thought about that in my head as we just said
figured it all out.
I figured it all out. But no, I think they're looking into a more sort of community-led accountability framework, where instead of having...
Is that what this is, though? Like this
but this would work alongside policing, whereas this instead... I mean, I don't know the full ins and outs. It's called Campaign Zero, but it's more, I guess, naming and shaming, which I don't see a problem in the community.
I am all about naming and shaming.
I love naming and shaming. It's the best thing.
That was actually in my manifesto, one of my
policies. Amazing. In what context? Like police, like...
So it wasn't actually based at the police officers. This was to do with knife crime. So anyone who's been recently convicted of a knife offence but hasn't been given a custodial sentence.
So what about suspended? Would that count? Like if it was a suspended custodial?
Any
non-actual serving.
I mean, I didn't actually mention whether it was suspended or not. Basically, if they didn't go to prison and they were, like someone was caught with a machete, got convicted and was just let out on the streets, because that happens all the time. It does, their photo, obviously if they were above the age of 18 years old, their photo and their name will be published on the mayor's website, within that borough. Also, the councils would also put photos up at bus stops. This person has recently, watch out for him.
I love that. That is like an equivalent. Yeah, it's. I think the only way you can have real deterrence is, and maybe it's a human thing as well. Reputation is so important to people, like what people think of you and being tarnished. And if you're gonna, but then it might hide people. Like, you know how I'm saying, like this might put police officers from doing bad things, or that might put people off carrying knives. But then maybe but then maybe it's good to expose it, so then we can put them away. I don't know.
You know that thing though? That reminds me of them wanted posters from back in the day. But look, just think. But in some ways, it's a good thing. But in some ways, that they kind of like that as well. They might be like,
they might
be trying. I'm the cat. Was it Billy the Kid?
I'd love to have a wanted poster. Yeah,
I'm the cool guy. But the thing is, they're not wanted. They've been convicted, and all you're doing is warning members of the public. Look, this guy's just been let off with a knife offence. He's probably going to go because that is what happens. They get let off, and then they go and carry a knife again.
Well, this is why I think, and I suppose it interlinks, I think we've become less community led in terms of governance. And I think if, for example, I think that, if communities were able to be closer to government, and I don't know the ins and outs, but I feel like say we live in this area, I would love to know that there would be like a central website, or I guess the local authority, the council's website.
You've got Harrogate website, you've got the mayor's website, there is the Metropolitan Police website.
A list, or maybe we get a leaflet come in with our watch out for these people.
Harrogate sends out a monthly newsletter. It's actually a magazine, to be on the front of the magazine.
This is what.
But what does that do though? If you say watch out for this person, and then what does that do to that person though? Like, what does it actually?
Well, that's his problem. He shouldn't have carried a knife.
Exactly. We don't care about them now.
But it might make him worse.
Yeah, well then, oh God, yeah.
I mean, I don't see how it's
by society.
Then he'll think,
he's like, I'm getting 2 knives now. This pissed me off.
Well, then we need to really. Well, then he'll.
Well, then that's the judge's fault for not putting him in prison.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And oh God, that's. I don't think of that. But again, naming and shaming and holding people to account publicly is the only way you can stop someone from doing something dodgy. I think.
Well, it's definitely a massive deterrent.
100% is.
I'm all about naming and shaming.
Is that an alternative to the police though? Is that? Do you feel like that is something like having communal naming and shaming and all that stuff?
Well, I don't know the full campaign ins and outs, but I think it's more like community intervention. So you'd have probably, instead of the Metropolitan Police doing London, you'd have
neighbourhood watch.
More neighbourhood watch, more community led, and they're not police in uniform. They're just members of the community who are like us, dressed like us, not from this massive organisation and system. So I suppose like a sheriff's office, I suppose.
How do you bring someone in? Like you just do a community, like
say get into the community centre,
just grab up people and just take them to the police station.
Well, believe it or not, everyone has the ability to arrest somebody.
Yeah,
you have the ability to arrest somebody.
Citizen's arrest. Yeah,
you can make a citizen's arrest.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, a lot of people tell me to read into the abolish theory, police abolishment theory, which I haven't. It's probably just get rid of the police, but I don't know how that.
Abolish, like, straight up.
But I mean, to be honest, though, I do sort of think
quickly pause this. Sorry,
we're all sort of on this planet. Why do some people get to be in charge and some people don't?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the system we have is so broken.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be electing these people to represent us. They're not supposed to be in charge.
We don't elect police.
Yeah, we don't elect police. Well, we elect the head of police, don't we?
The mayor?
The mayor, yeah. He's the senior police officer in the.
What do you think of Steak?
Of who?
You like him?
He's no, I don't like him. No, he's a weasel. He's basically he's a globalist, or he's just serving the interests of the global agendas and the cabal.
I just don't understand how he's been in for so long. I'm trying to find people who've voted for him because I don't know anyone who has.
So
who?
Well, if we go back last year before the election, say around March, April times, Labour was very. They were a lot more popular back then.
Yeah.
And obviously he was the Labour candidate.
Yeah.
So you've got to remember with party politics, you've got. Back then, the two main parties were Labour and Conservative, so they've already got their subscribed supporters. So you can go on the Labour website and join now, and you become a member, and you don't even really care who the candidate is. You're just voting Labour, right?
It's the party.
That's what it is. Yeah. So they already have their subscribed voters, which usually is going to wipe out any independent candidate or any of the smaller parties.
Yeah.
So late at the last elections, he got a little over 1 million votes, and Conservatives, it was Susan Hall running, got I think it was about 850,000 votes, and the majority of them are literally just the subscribe.
It's because it's the party.
Yeah, most of them aren't even. They don't. If you ask them, what's the one best thing you like in his manifesto, and I asked,
they won't know.
Thousands of people.
Yeah.
I think. Honestly, it was about 2 or 3 people were actually able to name one policy within the manifesto. Yeah. And most people are just voting, my granddad voted Labour.
I know,
it's like football. It's like a football team. Yeah. I support Arsenal, they're red, there you go. Labour. So
people need to start actually educating themselves.
So that's one aspect of it. And then another aspect of it is, if you look at the population of London, there's about 10 million people. Of them 10 million people, only 6 million are registered to vote.
Right.
And of them 6 million, only about just over 2 million actually turned up to vote.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got about 25%, a little bit less, I think it was about 23% of the population of London actually even voted.
Do you think they're majority quite from the older generations who are used to the two-party?
Yeah,
and not
like
used
I said,
to like
the majority of them are the
Labour
the
Conservative.
people that subscribed. They don't care about what's going on. I'm just voting for the sake
because they have, because the family has. Yeah.
And then if you look at that massive portion of the population of London that didn't vote, about 75% or whatever, most of them are like politically homeless people. They're like dissidents to the system. They're like, my vote, even if I vote, it doesn't matter.
They think it doesn't count.
Yeah, they, a thing most people say is like, if voting mattered, why would they let us do it and do it like that?
Well, I do think the voting system is a bit shit. So I'll
give you my first-hand experience because I did this and I went to the biggest vote count centre in the whole of London. It was at Alexandra Palace up there.
Yeah.
I watched over it myself.
Yeah.
There is no fraud going on, I can promise you that.
Yeah.
It's very highly guarded. There's police officers, council members.
Well, there's police officers there. Highly, really, really moral. No fraud there.
Yeah. But actual fraud, like there's not some evil man pouring buckets of votes into that. That didn't happen. It is literally these main parties, they thrive off of everyone saying my vote, it doesn't matter about voting, it's not going to make a difference. They thrive off of that because if that 7.5 million people decided, actually, you know what, this year I'm going to vote because I've had enough of the Reds and the Blues dominating, I'm going to go and vote or whatever, they'd be out of the picture in 2 minutes.
Do you think that's what's happening now?
No,
with the shift?
Right now, no, it's gone the other way, unfortunately, because I was really hoping everyone would finally realise that party politics is never going to help anyone or solve anything.
Okay.
It's a captured industry. So all that's happened now is all of the Blues have gone to turquoise reform, and all of the Reds seem to be shifting a bit green, and but that's all that's happened. Actually, Jeremy Corbyn started a new
Your party, but their spats are a bit embarrassing because I was kind of having some hope in them, and then them arguing so publicly, I just thought it's embarrassing.
So everyone who sort of leans on the left wing sort of the compass, political compass, they're sort of like spread out now around red, green, your party, and then everyone who is more on the right is just basically shifted to reform. So sadly, I'm not a massive supporter of reform. Some of their policies I think are amazing. But I do think they're going to probably win the next general election. They're not.
I have no idea. Yeah.
They probably will win the next general election, which is not going to be a positive day for most Londoners because there's a lot of people here on indefinite leave to remain and like that, and it's just going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But they're not going to win the London mayoral elections.
Okay.
That will. I don't know. Honestly, it could go any. It's always gonna. I think it's gonna be won by one of the left-leaning parties, but I don't think Labour.
Is it good to have a party in power that's got a opposite party mayor? I feel like you would have a bit of a clash.
Do you mean like the government and
government and then the mayor?
I mean, we had that for the last 8 years.
Yeah, but Labour. Yeah.
And he always used to, oh God, it's so cringy. I'm fighting against the tides of a conservative government. It's like, just shut up, mate, and actually do something that helps us, please. Blaming everyone but yourself.
And just the grooming gangs, what how.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to even talk about it. He's just like, But
to be honest, I sit back and I just don't understand how the Prime Minister of our country is someone who was the leader of the CPS when the grooming gangs were not properly prosecuted, and he was the leader of that. Like, what the F? Like,
it's one massive, disgusting paedophile ring. It's like I thinking about it, just my stomach starts tensing up.
But then when I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking about all this, then I just think, what is the point in this society? Like, why am I being told what to do? Yeah, it's like even like when I go to protests in Parliament, like Parliament Square, like there's like a bit of pavement, where there's a line and it goes like darker, the pavement lighter, and one side is Westminster and one side is the Greater London Authority, and you need permission from either one if you're going to stand on it and protest, blah blah blah. And when I go there, I have to be but I don't either. But when I go there and then you get moved, so you've got to go that side. Who the hell? Sorry, we've all been born on this earth, and you're telling me I can't stand here and I can't, like,
Secret
I just
is you
can't
don't
buy
need
into
permission.
this.
It's absolute lies.
Really?
Yeah. So my friend's organising a protest tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's about digital
ID, yeah.
Yeah. So he never asked for permission or anything like that.
Is that in Central?
Yeah. I might as well bring the details up.
Yeah,
and let everyone
definitely.
know. I mean, obviously, this podcast won't come out until after then, but so it's called Unite Against Digital ID, Saturday, 22nd of November, 1 p.m. Marble Arch is the
wow. And
location.
he hasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think with marches, you're supposed to inform the police, are you?
I wouldn't know. I've never done it myself.
Yeah.
I've organised dozens and dozens of protests, and I've never once asked for permission. Or one of the most successful protests I think I ever organised was so it was me and a group of my friends we organised. We did it at the MHRA headquarters.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what the MHRA
No.
is. So it's the Medical Health Regulatory Agency or whatever. So they're basically responsible for any type of medicines and so this was going back in 2021, and they'd recently just authorized the use of the experimental vaccine for 5 to 12-year-olds.
Right.
And me and my mates were like, right, we're not having none of this. So we went down there, we shut the whole of Canary Wharf down. There was only about 1,000, 2,000 of us that turned up or whatever, but we shut the whole place down. No one could get on and off the island. It was just locked down. And that day there, the JCVI and the MHRA changed about an hour after we left, and then it turned into a shit show. The police all arrested her. But an hour after we left, they said, actually, we're not authorising it for 5 to 12-year-olds. And then Boris Johnson was fuming or whatever, and then they changed their minds a week later. But we had, even for just 1 week, we made a difference.
Yeah, it does make a difference. A lot of people do say on my social media, like when I go to protests, they're like, oh, you're so embarrassing. Like, what are you going to do? Go somewhere and stand there. But it does make a difference, and it's a bit of pressure, and it's also taking a stand. It's better than doing nothing, I think. 100%. Sometimes.
Even, you know, I don't think sort of it's going to have any major effect like tomorrow's one, you know, getting together on a weekend. They're not even in Parliament, you know, most businesses are closed or whatever. If anything, it's just going to, but it's bringing the community together. It's raising morale, raising awareness, and it kind of gets momentum within the movement going.
It does, 100%.
At the very least, that's the very 100%. Bare minimum. So,
and also, I know what you mean, like, you know, no one's in Parliament that day, but still, they'll still see that happen. And they'll still be like, so... Yeah, it definitely...
Oh, they're watching it, believe me. They're always watching it.
Exactly. So I love going to protests. I find it so incredible, just like the collective of same values, same opinions, and you kind of feel like you are gaining a little bit of power back by, you know, standing up and using your voice. Like,
you are, because you're physically making a stand. A stand. You're making an objection to something that's being imposed on you. You know, some form of oppression or whatever it is you're protesting against. You're physically saying, right, actually, no, I'm not accepting that, and that's my standpoint. Just to let everyone know.
I agree. I mean,
but there is many forms of protest, and that I'd say that one there's probably the least effective if you wanted to make some sort of difference. There is a lot of other things that I do and a lot of people do to sort of protest against the system.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you guys are doing it, because someone's got to. Like,
have you done any protests for stuff that you're doing?
I did one a couple of weeks ago on the 5th of November. We marched from...
That was your one, wasn't it? Scotland Yard. I was watching it.
It was more sort of like anti-corruption in public services. And then we went from across the river to over Westminster Bridge to
Did you get permission?
So I co-hosted it with an organisation who does protests, and they liaise with the police. Because the police, I didn't speak to the police about it at all. And then I got an email from someone who used to know me in the police saying, I've been alerted by your social media that you're planning a protest. So they'd been like watching it or whatever.
Oh, they do watch it.
Yeah. I just thought like... Well, you're literally wasting resources watching my social media.
I've never seen so many police resources wasted. It's incredible how much they send, like TSG, riot vans, the whole lot. For and what you had like 50, 100 people max, and most of them were women.
We had 80
mothers,
to 100. We had 80 to 100. Actually, to be fair, I'd say it was about 30 men, 70 women. But we had about 80 to 100, and 20 police officers were assigned And I was like, not asked, not requested, didn't even want police to be there. I didn't even liaise with them. So when I got there, everyone was turning up, and there was 2 big vans and then protest liaison officers. When they saw how many started, there was probably, I don't know, about 50, 60 at the start, and then more joined as we were walking in at the final part. The 2 vans fucked off. And then when I announced that there was 20 officers going to be assigned the day before, because I'd been told that by the organizer and co-organizer, and I wanted to let people know, because a lot of people that were coming to my protests had really bad experiences with police, and I just wanted to let them know that, look, you know, I don't want this, but there are 20 police officers apparently coming. So about 100 people didn't turn up because they didn't want to go to a protest with police there. So they'd like fearmongered people not to come to the protest. Then when they did come, and only 50 people there at the start, they fucked off because they thought, oh, well, 20 police officers aren't needed. And then when we were marching, some people from the far right came and were trying to antagonize us. So I was like, well, now we fucking need police. Like, it was just ridiculous. And then, yeah, the final end when there was more people.
I mean,
just ridiculous.
I do understand the people that decided, actually, I don't want to go. Because, I mean, me personally, I've literally experienced that. If you go online, you'll see me, like, rolling around on the floor
it's
with
not
TSG.
A nice environment.
Like, literally, like, 10 of them trying to grab me down to the ground for absolutely nothing. Nothing at all.
So
just for being me. Like,
that's why I think if anyone can, and if anyone, like, it's like sometimes needs money, sometimes you can get nowhere. I just always encourage people to sue the police. Like, if you can, if they've done anything, or take them to tribunal, like, sue them if you can. Like, publicly name and shame them, like, hold them to account, because no one else bloody does. So I always encourage that. But yeah, it's the videos and footage I see of protests and how police behave, and also, like, you can have protests, and I don't know why police need to be there at the beginning. Like, I just feel like it already immediately adds that like friction, and it doesn't need to be like that. It's a human right to be able to protest. Yep. Why do you need police? It's not a human right a human need that police need to be there to watch you do it. Yep. Yeah, I just think it's a bit of an abuse of the system. But
so they're there to keep you safe, or they're there to keep the public safe?
They say for marches they need to be in attendance because people are possibly walking on roads, or, you know, like, safety and whatever. But static protests, you don't have to inform the police, and police don't really need to be. It's just sort of road closures and stuff.
Can't you just start it static and then it turned into a walking one? That's how you just pass it off.
But then police would come.
Oh, they just come.
They'd come, yeah. So
I wouldn't tell them. I'll just do it and then let them come in it. If they want to come, they can come.
Yeah, but then I'm kind of like in a catch-22 where, like, throughout my campaigning, I'm like, I don't give a shit about rules and boundaries. Like, I'm a nice person. I would never hurt anyone, but, like, I'm not going to follow every single law and rule. That's ridiculous.
And that is all that matters. That is the shit I live by. Everyone's
laws just be nice and kind and decent. Don't hurt anyone. Not, you know, you can't go 31 miles over 30. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, you know, so I don't abide by every single law and rule. But then at the same time, in campaigning, I don't want to go too extreme where, you know, like, I could get in trouble with the police, because that kind of wouldn't help my thing. But then at the same time, yeah, I don't know. I just think the police are a joke. And no one, I say this to everyone and anyone, no police, no government, no lawyer, no soldier, no, like, the head of the UN or Donald Trump or anyone is ever going to tell me what to do or what not to say. Like, I'm not going to live in a world where someone else is going to tell me what I can and cannot say or can and cannot do. Like, I'm not, sorry, we've all been born on this world. Like, that no one is going to tell me anything. I'm not going to feed into that.
Absolute massive problem that we've experienced over the last 5 years or something like that. People just, it's like they feel the need to have authority. They feel the need to someone needs to tell them, no, you need to do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. Like,
and maybe it gives lost people purpose or reason, or it gives lost people. But you go to therapy then, mate. Because
like, some people just aren't like that. Though. They're just sheep, and it's majority of people. There's only just a few like people that have their own minds and want to don't necessarily need to be governed by someone. But there's a majority of people do. It's weird. And
I think the majority of people, and I understand, like, if you have responsibilities like family, mortgage, children, other responsibilities, you do just want an easy life for the safety and peace of your family or things that you know, your responsibilities. But, you know, sometimes always doing that can actually harm you and your family. And, you know, I would like to, I mean, I don't have any responsibilities, so I always think that I'm just like the perfect person to not give a shit and just campaign, because I don't have any family, like kids or whatever, to worry about.
It goes either way, because I've got 3 kids, and then sometimes I think to myself, oh, fuck all this. But then I wake up sometimes, I was like, actually, that was the driving force behind it all.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave the world in a shit place for them.
People like you are the reason that people don't have to think about stuff, because you're making sure the people that look after them are good people in the first place.
Exactly.
So you are necessary, you people. I'm not including me in that, because I'm not that included.
No, but I also think there's a lot of you should be really proud that you're doing it alongside having a family as well, because a lot of people wouldn't, because for the easiness and the peace of their family to just get on, and a lot of people care about their immediate life and just making sure that's okay, but nothing will ever change if we all just are like that. Someone's got to take the brunt.
Morals has to come before some sort of legislation at some point.
It does. And also, like, this is just what I think, but I just think, I don't think we need a government. I'm quite drastic now these days. I just think everyone should just be able to live harmoniously. The reason, I don't know why we've gotten into this world where everyone's competing and trying to control, but the people who need help, like, we should all just be able to harmoniously live alongside each other.
Yeah.
We don't need to be dominating and controlling in power. These people need help.
With the internet now and the way it is, that could actually be a real possibility for sure. We can actually govern ourselves now, because everyone can be accountable. Because we've got a way of putting people out there, and exactly. It's a lot easier to do than it was maybe like 20-30 years ago. So
I think so.
Move towards that kind of.
I was thinking, I had this it was like 4 a.m. one day, and I was like, oh my god, I've just had a brainwave. Obviously not, but it was. Why don't we not have MPs? Because do you know what frustrates me about MPs is that, yeah, we vote for them, but we always just vote for the best out of a bad bunch. It's never we fully agree with everything they do. My MP makes decisions in Parliament that I don't bloody agree with. So I don't think we need MPs. Or if we are going to have MPs, they have to ask us what we think and our decisions, and just take those decisions back to government, not their decisions.
Referendum type thing,
Yeah, but then someone was like, well, you can't have a referendum for every pothole. But I know, not
big
for everything, but for the big ones you can. But I think, maybe you could have an app where you can just make decisions about things and it goes back to government, but then people say that
There's
can be...
There's a guy called Phidias in the European Parliament. He's actually trying to do that right now. He's created an app so he's a Cypriot, that's how I know of him.
Yeah.
And he's created an app now for everyone in Cyprus. So and he's done it now. It's all people just basically, all the votes go in the app, and then he voices that to the European Parliament.
And as in that's their method of governance there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I think, and that people can be so much more closer to decisions and what happens in their... I just don't like the idea of us having to... We're told that it's elected and it's our choice, but we haven't got a choice of who the choices are. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, this goes back to my strong disagreement with party politics, because for me, I could never be part of a party, political party. That's why I run as an independent, because I feel like they're all captured. You go on their website, you can join, donate or whatever, and that's what happens. You'll get some massive multinational corporation come donate, £10 million to the company. All right, that was a donation and there's no strings attached. But the second they go into power, that corporation is now basically telling that party how, steering the policies, this, let's do it that way rather than that way or whatever.
And you'll keep them sweet to get more donations.
Oh, of course they will.
Yeah.
That's what funds the campaign. It's what funds the machine.
That should not be allowed. That should be banned. But then I suppose how else do they make their money? But then can't they make their money from memberships, from people?
They do from memberships, but obviously, memberships is, I don't know, most of them charge £30.
Do these parties? But what do these parties need this money for? Is this for campaigns?
Mostly, because the campaign is what gets them into power.
Just download Canva or something. You don't need all this money for but you don't.
It's probably not even for campaigns. It's probably just pay themselves.
So if you look at,
don't they get paid anyway?
No, it really
bonuses, isn't it?
It really is campaigns. So if you look at
bonus.
If you look at last year's, or was it the beginning? Yeah, last year's campaign trails in the American. So we had Trump versus Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
I think it was $1.5 billion was spent on Kamala Harris's campaign.
Wow.
And that was officially the biggest ever spend on a campaign in history.
Like
and she also lost.
Merch and...
Oh, no, it's just the cost of everything. So
but what is it? What is it, though? Like,
yeah, where is that?
All right, so I'll tell you, like, my mayoral campaign. I can't remember exactly how much I spent or whatever. But, for example, I was the only one that had done that. And I was so proud of it. I had a campaign bust. I don't know if you saw it. It had a picture of me on the side, there was the cost of that. You've got the cost of like, so also I've got it right down here. Let me just read through it.
Would you have to like pay for like a campaign strategist or?
So this was the official book that went into everybody's house in London.
Wow.
It looks very ugly actually on the outside.
But, you must always keep that.
I was on the first page here.
Love that.
There we go.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So I had to pay £10,000 to be in this book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
1.5 billion. Though. Let's go from
I had to pay you have to pay
£10,000
just to register to be a nominee.
God,
So it starts adding up.
But then who when you're paying £10,000 to register to be where's that going?
To the GLA.
And the GLA is the local...
It goes to the London Elects office because they've got expenses to...
Right, yeah.
To do, but...
I just don't think all this money... I don't think businesses need to be giving billions to...
It doesn't make sense. Where is that money
advertising? Remember, advertising shifts psychology in people's minds.
But is there advertising? I know we're talking about American politics.
1.4 billion.
Yeah, but where would
TV? I remember there was some adverts. Boris Johnson's been on adverts on tellies and things like that when he was doing some of his campaigns. Maybe that. Yeah. Maybe like... I don't know what else
in the end, I think I spent about $2,000 on just leaflets.
Wow, yeah. So there is a cost to it, but I refuse to accept that like 1 whatever billion or hundreds of thousands.
The campaign's over now, but costs are still coming in from it. Apparently, it hasn't actually even finished. That's crazy.
No, I think it's outrageous. Like, I don't think any big business should be dipping their fingers into politics, but
they do. That's the way of the world, and that is exactly
because of money.
I ran as an independent because I don't want anyone to ever say to me, if I did win, I don't want anyone to ever say to me, "Oh, you're being controlled by this person or that." Because
you wouldn't be allowed to accept a donation as an independent.
You can accept donations, but I refused. I was offered.
Love that.
I refused to accept a single penny in donations or help from.
You want to do it yourself?
No, because if I did win, I wanted to say, right, I created this manifesto of policies by myself.
No influence
from anyone, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not being paid. I've funded this myself, and I am literally myself.
And that is transparent and genuine. Exactly. That's what we bloody need. That needs to be all.
That's what we
politics.
need around the whole world. Yeah,
we do. Yeah,
we do have. I think there's a couple of independent MPs in Parliament, and Jeremy Corbyn's one of them. But I'd love to see a lot more of them popping up over the years.
You couldn't have an independent prime minister because then that would be a dictatorship. No.
I don't actually know if that's even possible.
Because it's not
to have an independent prime minister. I'm not actually too sure. I mean, you do need to be a member of Parliament. I know that to hold a seat in government.
God knows. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think, like the police, all of these systems are a shit show. So
they attract people that are attracted to power, though, and that's the real problem. Like, you attract bad, evil people,
and they'll always find ways and loopholes and ways to control and gain more power.
They do, and in the process, everyday citizens are just getting harmed, all because of money, power, and greed and privilege. And
but then you guys step in to make sure that the people that are being elected and being police and being other are good people. So
but it's
good stuff.
It's not as simple as that. I find it, and it will take for me, it will take. I think anything like Isabelle's Law or anything remotely similar will take decades and decades to bring in.
Oh right, yeah, an act of Parliament. Jesus Christ, it's going to take a long time. Yeah,
it won't be. I mean,
although when it came to COVID, they did it in 4 days?
Yeah,
4 days.
Exactly.
It's fucking nuts.
It's ridiculous. Have you watched the COVID inquiry?
I haven't.
Just telling us what we know associated with it. But I mean, unless something, at least in my case, unless something drastic happens with policing, like, I don't know, one of the buildings collapses or whatever, or everyone hands in their notices, something like this wouldn't be able to. This would take decades. This will take ages to put in. Because
you started some sort of campaign where you just like really expose them, like super expose them. With a big budget. You know what I mean? Like on YouTube and started a whole thing.
It's got to go fund me going at the
celebrities, like if any celebrities that I like I'm the same as you. I just want to do it myself. If anyone the GoFundMe was to help rebuild, but campaigning wise, I do it all on my own because, like you, I want to be accountable solely me. And,
I had people helping with like the campaign, but the actual sort of grassroots fundamentals of my thing.
Exactly. I would just want to, but also I would want to do this myself too as well, because if it effed up in any way, I wouldn't want anyone else to bear the brunt of that. This is my idea. It's come from me, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's on me.
People believe in you though, so they can still be a part of it. Do you know what I mean? You just get like-minded people and just have them like helping.
The thing is, with something like this though, people are only really bothered about bad policing when they're on the receiving end of it. Otherwise, they're not really. I guess it's like anything. You only care about things if you're affected by it. So it's about.
Do you know what though? I've never really heard about it the way that you described it. Like this whole kind of like schoolyard kind of business where there's these groups, and it sounds just like a workplace rather than like the police force. You imagine the police force to be this place where there's discipline and these good people, and if more people knew that it was like that, and there was evidence to show that it was like that, especially since we see there's like 1,600-700 cases of misconduct per year or whatever, then people might be like, well, we need to sort that out, because if you've got so much badness going on inside there, how are you getting them to like govern?
They don't care though. People don't care unless they like. Because people don't think they'll need to use the police. Like, like when you see like on the news that someone's been stabbed or murdered, or you don't think it will happen to you. So people you don't expect in your life that you'll need the police. Like
until it does happen.
Until it does. And then I think once you've had an interaction with police, then because like I imagine I could ask someone who's never had, I know it on my social media, people who'd never had any interactions with police, they're like, is it really this bad? Like, is it? And I'm like, but then people who have are like, it's such a bad issue. So I guess it's just about convincing people who haven't.
That burglary thing kind of threw me off a bit. If your house is burgled, they're not going to get back in contact with you for a few days. That's kind of mad. People paying tax to pay for the police to do this. So
the police just don't actually have the resources right now.
But that's from
that goes back to the Mayor of London, that goes back to government who actually contribute to the budget, and it's just
and also it's misspending by the Met as well. I always like to, I don't know the statistics today off the top of my head, but I did it on LBC. Like they have like what they paid out like 7.6 million, something like that, in 2024 on settlements because they'd mistreated their staff. They
could have just spent that on treat your
staff nicely, and then you wouldn't have to. But and then also I saw an article a couple of years ago or something. I'm sure Sadiq Khan said that there was going to be like 1.3 billion put into the Met. I don't know if that ever happened, but the Met misspend their money. It's not that they don't have money. And also, Mark Rowley is also being sued by Surrey Police at the moment. He's just wasted £253 million on an IT system that was called Connect. It came in when I was there, that went to shit, and it was a shitty system, and they had to scrap it. He wasted £253 million, and he did the same in Surrey Police before he came to the Met, and Surrey Police are actually suing Mark Rowley for it. He's misspent money, £253 million.
Absolutely. I'm going to look into this now, because I would absolutely love
Please do.
I'm sure there's we need to get like my friend Lewis on this or something, Lewis Bretpool, investigative journalist, because that sounds like cronyisms going on.
Ridiculous.
He tried it once, didn't work. Tried it again, didn't work again. Yeah. He's probably got a friend that runs an IT company.
Freemason.
Well, he's throwing money out somehow.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is how cronyism works. Your uncle's, Bob's cousin's, whatever's got an IT company, but I don't know him, by the way. But they've offered a really good system.
Let's try that.
Well, this is where Freemasonry comes into it, but he's that's why whenever I see that idiot's face on the telly and I see him say, the reason you're not getting officers and you're getting shit policing is because we got no money. No, it's because you're pissing it away. It's because you're pissing it away, and it's because you're a fucking idiot.
$500,000.
It's outrageous. Like a police officer starts on like 30k salary a year. Like how many police officers could you have put on the street with that? Like It's a fucking outrageous. I really can't stand the bloke, but
and it's not. It's at all levels the sort of waste of funds. It's not just like the top level. Like I didn't even know that. I'm really going to be looking into
it. It's 253
really
million. They quizzed him. They quizzed. Was it the Met? I don't know if it was Sadiq or his deputy Kaya at the London Assembly the other day on it, and they were like, oh no, it might have been Mark Rowley himself, and he was like, yes, well, sorry, sometimes we do waste money. It's not good enough. 253 million.
How about you waste your own money?
Exactly.
And not waste our
he still gets his money. He still gets his tax money. And that's why I get, like, so fed up with, like, some people say to me, like, don't you dare take a settlement, or, oh my God, you're suing them, so you're basically taxpayers'
it's not about
money.
The money for you.
Well, they
this
gave
is
it
what
to
they're not understanding.
But also, even if I do get a settlement, or even if I do win in a tribunal, or even if because I'm taking them to civil court as well, even if I do win in that and I get money off them, and that's come from the police, which has come from government, which has come from taxpayers, shout to the government about it and shout to the police. It's not, people should be able to freely sue these institutions without having people be like, you're taking taxpayers' money. No, the system and the government are employing stupid people that are treating people badly and misspending your money that way. So
it was the police force that did it to you, and it's not you taking money from the police.
Although I do feel a little bit bad sometimes when I think about suing, like when I'm,
But I can tell already from your character, we've only been sitting in here a couple of hours, that you're not doing this for the money at all. And that's why you have to go through those processes to get to that end result. Exactly. It's not about the money. The end result is getting this into play and making reforms to the Met.
It's so much bigger, and that is why I've never taken a settlement before, because trust me, they've been trying to settle, but I've always said to them, you're not making me sign an NDA, you're not making me do any of this, and that's what they wanted me to do, and I've never done that. And I just would love everyone to realise the fact that they're still trying to settle, even though, and they're happy for me not to sign an NDA, because they want me to stop talking, because they don't want me to say any more, because they're hoping they'll just give me this massive lump sum and I'll shut up. But I'll keep talking. And the fact that the Met are that scared that they'll happily say, yeah, we'll give you as much money as you want, or we'll do this, says something. So it's not about money.
What's the last bits on the settlement that need to be sorted for you to sign that over? I'd just get that sorted.
So they've agreed all my conditions. Now it's just the monetary side. So
what were your conditions?
My conditions were no NDA, no like confidentiality agreement, a public apology, not one that I have to keep confidential.
And they've agreed
outlining,
to that.
Outlining where they've gone wrong and what they've done. Because a lot of people say I'm lying or whatever like this, but it's all been like confirmed by the Met anyway. To automatically provide someone with a welfare support officer, not wait like a couple of weeks or a couple of months until you get an investigation officer who does that, because people need welfare at the time.
So they will make that policy change within.
They've said that, they said they'll do really that, good. And then that's basically it. But what I really wanted to take them to court was for an apology and an acknowledgement that they'd done it wrong, and no NDA.
Yeah, and obviously that's not going to affect you campaigning.
No. And I always took a massive risk speaking out on social media with my tribunal and with a civil court case. But I always said, like, if I lose my employment tribunal and my court case, because I've spoken out and safeguarded people and warned people about these individuals in the police, that's more than enough for me. I don't care about the money. I'll lose all my court cases. As long as people know that Christopher Timmons is a creep and the X, Y, and Z enabled him, then I've done my job and I don't care. Like, money is literally, the last thing. Like, I wouldn't have done all of this. And I wouldn't have named and shamed. I didn't name and shame for about 8 months because I was really scared. Like, I don't know, I was like worried I'd get like arrested or something. And then I thought, no, like, if it's the truth, if it happened, it's all documented, why on earth can I not say it? They can't sue me for defamation because it's not a lie. So then I named and shamed, and it kind of all went viral. But if I lose my settlements and my court cases, I don't care. But the fact that the Met are wanting to shut me up quicker says it all.
And don't you dare stop naming and shaming.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Always. And I have felt it for a while, like in my life, but I do feel like I am just a bit of like a human blob of accountability. Like whoever I like speak to, I seem to like bring out, I don't know, like I feel like I'm a good judge of character and I can read people and people can't lie around me, like, or like I'll bring it out. So I don't know, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I just hold people to account. Yeah, so.
you feel like you're flourishing in this role, basically.
I do. I hope. I do sometimes catch myself thinking, like, where does this end? Like, when does it end, or does it end? Because I don't know. This will probably take me ages, and I guess
you open up.
I don't know.
From my personal experiences with things like this, you start going down the rabbit hole, and then you realise actually it's a network of rabbit holes.
Where does it end?
It kind of doesn't, does it?
It doesn't. But I'm on this path, and I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah.
So yeah, but.
I'm very conscious of the time now. We've been going for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Can we let everybody know, like, all your details, your website, anything else you're planning on doing?
Of course. If you want to contact me at issyvine.com, or I've got an organisation. If you work or you're ex-serving in a public service and you want to whistleblow, Speak Up Now UK, please whistleblow. Like, it's not that bad. I did it and I'm okay. And yeah, isabelleslaw.com if you want to find out more about the proposed bill. And yeah, social media, I'm just always on there ranting and raving. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and I do a few protests. And yeah, hopefully I'll just be able to make Issy Vine. At Issy Vine, at Issy Vine. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And if anyone needs to reach out or has any questions, as a victim of crime or victim of police misconduct, please get in touch with me. I want to help as many people as possible to hold police to account so we can be a safer and nicer society full of nice people.
Boom, that is wicked.
Yeah.
We got 2 things we do. This is just standard, what we do at the end of every episode now.
Yeah.
So first thing, I always ask everyone, it can just be like a sentence or a paragraph, or it can be your words of wisdom, your motto, your catchphrase, something you just want to finish up on. We might even make it the title of this episode. Or whatever. Okay. Entirely up to you what you want to say.
Well, I suppose there's a quote that I literally live by from suffragette Emmeline Pankhurst. Deeds, not words. So actions, not words, basically. Deeds, not words.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good to live by. We need to do more, not just say more.
Actions speak far louder than words ever will.
Exactly.
However, my words are quite loud, which I'm about to ask you. So my what is it? Like a catchphrase, which everyone's heard me say a million times. I go, hey, come on. Can you do me your, basically copy my...
Oh my God. Right, okay, this is going to be not as good. Hey, come on.
Hey, come on. That's good. That was amazing. That's perfect.
That was wicked.
That was just not
right,
great.
That's it. We're all done.
We're done now.
Amazing.
All right, great.
Thank